Major League Baseball starting. That's awesome. Excited for that. Should be fun. Should be a good time. And it's been a long time coming. And I say it's been a long time coming for opening day to come because this offseason and this spring training, I think it'll be remembered for a long time. 2024 spring training for Major League Baseball has been a disaster. It's been an absolute disaster. It starts off with the players showing up, the small levels of excitement and the buzz that goes around, especially in the world of baseball, pitchers and catchers report. Players are starting to show up. You're seeing them in their jerseys for the first time. And the first thing they talk about is these are new jerseys. The quality's terrible. They look terrible. Everyone hates them. They don't fit right. And for the first week and a half of spring training, the only thing people were talking about was the jerseys. Check. That's part one of the disaster. Jerseys, terrible. Everyone shows up and hates them. They look terrible. Pictures look terrible. It's a disaster. Ask Rob Manfred about it, the commissioner, and he goes, yeah, we'll just see what happens. And that's not an answer and didn't help anybody. And the jerseys aren't changed. Here we are going into the season with the same jerseys that everyone complained about as usual. Then we get into phase 2 of spring training, which is, okay, well, obviously these jerseys are terrible. Obviously Rob Manfred does not care. His pockets are lined. The owner's pockets are lined. The owners have more money. Payroll has been going up. The luxury tax goes up. Oh, but all of the prominent free agents, every guy that every team was going after is still unsigned. 1 week, 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks into spring training. And instead of seeing the big time blow up news that would have dominated the media cycle of Cody Bellinger getting an 8-year deal, of Blake Snell, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, getting a 9-year deal, all the big time free agents didn't sign the first 2.5 weeks of spring training. And then they all end up settling for short term, basically 1 year prove it opt out deals. That's not good for baseball. That's a bad talking point. That's disaster number 2. And now as we get to the back end of spring training, the only thing everyone is wondering and talking about is the biggest and best player in the entire sport of baseball. And if he was gambling or has a gambling problem. It's now number 3. It's before the season even starts. It's after the jersey problem. It's after the free agency signing problem and the whole Boris big time free agents contract disaster, to a third problem before the season even starts about the biggest player in the sport and a gambling scandal. It's been a disaster for Major League Baseball before the season even starts. You also got Garrett Cole, who's going to miss a bunch of time. You've got a big time prospect from the Reds who's suspended for 80 games. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes this stuff happens. Injuries, they happen. Even suspensions, which are brutal in terms of PED usage, sometimes those happen, I guess. But the jerseys, the free agent market, and now the biggest player in baseball caught up in a gambling scandal. What a disaster. What a joke. It's been nothing but not baseball since the start of spring training. I think if you were to ask Rob Manfred, I don't think he cares. I mean, he does care about the Ohtani situation because this would be disastrous for the league if something really bad happens, but they're going to do everything they possibly can to sweep that under the rug. So if that's going to be handled, and that'll be covered up no matter what, whether Ohtani's guilty or not, it'll be handled. But Manfred just doesn't care. He just doesn't seem to have any concerns or problems or going to address any of these issues or talk about what can we do to make sure that some of the most prominent free agents in baseball don't go until week 3 of spring training before they sign. I don't know, make sure the reigning Cy Young Award winner, there's some guarantee in the league where he has to be signed by this certain point, or whoever he goes to, he's going to get at least a 3-year deal. Like something. There's got to be something to deal with this free agency ownership stingy situation. Because it's confusing to me how the NFL can roll out a free agency period, and on day 1, all of the big time, prominent, massive free agents sign monster contracts and they fly all over the league and it dominates the news cycle. And everyone's like, this guy's here, this guy's there. In baseball, the biggest free agents didn't sign until 2 weeks left before the season. What a disaster. Not to mention everyone showed up and hated the jerseys. It's been a complete disaster for Major League Baseball since the beginning of free agency, leading into spring training, jerseys, free agency, and now Ohtani. I don't think a sport could have a worse preseason situation than what MLB has had in 2024. I don't think anybody's actually talked about what's happened with the players or the development or new acquisitions or how this guy looks in this jersey and these guys look over here and team chemistry and what's this team going to do. Been nothing but problems off the field. Nothing but problems off. And honestly, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal if there was more what's the word I'm looking for? Like call to I guess motivation or more what's the word? More like initiative. That's the word. That's exactly the word. I don't think all these other off the field problems would have been as big if there was more initiative by the league and from the commissioner to at least address the problems and then potentially provide solutions. But people came out, showed up to spring training, hated the jerseys. Every player goes, oh, these suck. Oh, these are see-through. Oh, the lettering is horrendous. Hey, Rob Manfred, let's get to the podium. What do you got to say? His answer? Yeah, we'll just see what happens. I don't know. That's not addressing the issue and rubs everybody the wrong way. And here we are. Season's about to start. We're stuck with the jerseys. Deal with it. It's exactly what Manfred was banking on. Wanted everyone to forget about it. Here we are. Take it or leave it, guys. Here's your jerseys. Sweet. Problem 2. Hey, Rob, all the top free agents going into this offseason, they're still free agents, and spring training's been going on for 2 weeks. Any thoughts? Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. That's not an answer. No initiative. No solution proposals. Who cares? He doesn't. Rubs everyone the wrong way. Disaster. Here we are, controversy problem number 3 in spring training before the season even starts. The number 1 player in the league, the most prominent player probably in the world, is caught up in a gambling scandal. And the news breaks 4 days ago, and now he has a press conference. He, meaning Ohtani, still haven't heard from Rob Manfred, while the story itself about Ohtani and the gambling starts to take a bunch of different angles. More and more starts to come out about it. It looks even worse. And the commissioner is just crickets. Where is he? It's been an absolute disaster class for Rob Manfred. Class A, prime example of what not to do if I'm the commissioner. If I'm Rob Manfred in 2024, everyone shows up to spring training and immediately goes, wow, these jerseys suck. Before the baseball itself actually even starts. These jerseys are terrible. Everyone sees it. Everyone's complaining. Get up on the podium, take accountability, be a leader, stand up there and say, we didn't realize this was going to happen. You could even lie, right? Which that's a lie. They knew the jerseys were lower quality. They made the deal with Fanatics. They don't just magically show up in everyone's locker. They got to go through an approval process, which, I mean, it must have been a bunch of blind third graders going over these jerseys to approve what the product actually got put out. That's got to be the process. Regardless, Manfred should step up and just say, you know, we clearly didn't do our own due diligence. We didn't handle this accordingly. We didn't go over it with the players. The approval process clearly isn't diligent enough. And we're going to make our best efforts to try to improve these jerseys, get them closer to what they were before, maintain the same quality while also making sure Fanatics is involved because that's part of our contract agreement. And we could potentially start to roll out maybe some different jerseys, test a few different ones out on a month-by-month basis. It's probably going to take a little bit of time because we have some other ones in production that are the ones you guys are seeing. They're not great. We're going to try to improve. We wanted to apologize because this doesn't look good on us. Boom, that's it. Everyone's like, oh, all right, well, he sees the problem. At least he doesn't just answer the questions when they ask him about it and go, yep, jerseys, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's not an answer. It doesn't work. Terrible leadership, terrible way to handle it. And problem number 1 of how he rubbed everyone the wrong way, how he's been a disaster class. Problem number 2, spring training. Hey, Rob, why is Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, JD Davis all unsigned? Aren't those all the top prominent free agents? And instead, Rob Manfred, instead of literally just pretty much blaming Scott Boras, blaming the players for being too greedy or not addressing the problem, I know he stepped up and said, maybe we'll do a free agency period like the NFL does. That's what we want to do. Okay, great. But that's not what the players want to do. So let's come out, address the media, answer questions and say, yeah, we're going to do our very best to work with the players to ensure that this doesn't happen again, because it's a bad look for the league. We want our best players to be compensated fairly. We want them on teams. We want them competing at a high level. And we don't want the distraction of the contract negotiations and the grievances between each side being the main storyline. So we're going to do our very best. We're getting all of our best heads together to come up with the best solution to make sure that these big time free agents don't go 3 weeks into spring training without being unsigned. Boom. That's it, Rob. Great leadership. What did he do instead? Nothing. The opposite. Crickets. Barely addressed it. Basically said, we want to do a free agency period, the deadline period. Oh, why does he want to do that? Because it benefits the owners, because it gives the owners all the leverage, because it gives the owners time constraints to offer players their final and best offer. Lame, not going to work, find a different solution, but that's not in the best interest of Rob Manfred. And now here we are, controversy number 3 before the season even starts. Best and biggest and most prominent player in the sport itself is caught in a gambling situation, regardless of his guilt. And the commissioner of baseball has not addressed or released an actual official podium, press conference, or statement in 4 days. In 4 days. And Ohtani himself, just 4 days later, also coming up and answering some questions. Ohtani's answers are irrelevant. What is he going to say? Well, at least Ohtani's doing the press conference. Manfred's probably going to say something like that. Well, we had him go up to first and talk about it before we wanted to. What's Ohtani going to say? Nothing. Hey, Shohei, did you gamble? Yeah, we're going to leave it up to the investigation. Hey, Shohei, did Ippei use your money to make your picks and gamble for you? Yeah, we're going to leave it up to the investigation. It's still ongoing. Hey, Shohei, are you a degenerate gambler? Not really allowed to answer any questions, right? Like, that's what it's going to be. Hey, Rob, get up on the podium, answer questions, take it on the chin. It's a bad situation, but it can be made better. Proper leadership. Holy cow. Get up on the podium. Hey, Rob, was Shohei Ohtani gambling? You know, guys, listen. It's a really delicate situation. We definitely don't have all the facts. We have an ongoing investigation. We don't want to incriminate anybody by answering questions the wrong or the right way. We don't know who's guilty. We're still trying to tie all the loose ends together. What I can and will tell you is we are doing our due diligence because this is really serious. This is a big deal. Gambling in any capacity can be extremely damaging and concerning for anybody's personal life, let alone if it has a direct impact on our sport. And if there's a situation where a player in any capacity is involved in wagering or gambling and it becomes damaging or detrimental, we will do our very best to get all the answers as quickly as we can and provide you guys with more insights as soon as we have them. In the meantime, we're still working on it, but that's our most recent update. We want to make sure we do this the right way because this is super serious. And we are going to get to the bottom of this and provide everybody with answers as soon as we have them. I mean, holy cow. Instead, 4 days of crickets. All that tells people and all that shows everybody about this Ohtani situation is that they're using all this time to come up with the best possible concoction and story to cover it up and not give everybody all the answers. Makes it even more fishy, forces some medium to smaller tier reporters to dig even deeper, find out more information, and get reports about how now the translator said he worked for the Red Sox before, even though he never did. And then the illegal bookmaker that they were putting bets through, it was discovered he's telling people that Shohei is his biggest client. All this stuff's coming out. Probably could have been nipped in the bud if it was addressed swiftly, confidently, and accurately with precision by the best leadership possible. If this issue is addressed swiftly, accurately, precisely by the most prominent figure in the sport, being the commissioner, all these other reporters don't have to go in and dig deeper, try to find more dirt, get more information because they're forced to because we don't know anything. It's been an absolute disaster class from Rob Manfred. Absolute disaster. Terrible leadership. He's done this, and in my opinion, from the onset. All he's done is come out and act in the best interest of the owners, which you can't blame him because that's who pays his salary. That's who elects him. That's who re-elects him. That's who extends him in his contract. So I get it. All the rules, all the new rules, all the jerseys, all this different stuff. He's just done it, implemented it, changed the rules. No player approval, no voting process. And here we are. Before spring training, we've had 3 major, massive, negatively impacting PR situations on Major League Baseball. Haven't even got to opening day yet.